Hello book lovers, and welcome to or welcome back to Nat Cat's Bookish Cafe. Today is a very exciting video. I will be doing my August TBR and using my new TBR game for the first time. Just to start out with, if you haven't seen the video that I made with all the instructions or rules for this game, I will go ahead and link it here, down there somewhere, so you can go ahead and check that out. It should be relatively straightforward, so even if you don't watch that, it probably won't leave you too confused or anything like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and pretty much dive right in to my August TBR. I am probably going to be carrying over at least a couple books. These are the 3 books that I have left on my July TBR. Now it is only the 23rd, so I'm hoping to finish maybe even these 2 if I'm lucky, but probably, maybe these 2 or at least this one I'll have to carry over, but I'm not taking a punishment since this is my first month doing the game, so it's not like I picked these because of the game and therefore didn't accomplish the goal, even though I technically didn't accomplish the goal. But yeah, the goal, or not the goal, but the hope is to maybe have some more summary picks. I feel like in July I didn't read a lot of books that I would associate with like summer vibes, so I'm kind of hoping that I land on maybe like romance or like contemporary books like that, where things are a little lighter, a little fluffier, that I can go ahead and put into my TBR. I also have a few books that I want to get to that I may or may not be able to fit in, but we'll go ahead and start with roll number 1. All right, here we are at the board, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the first spin. If I'm holding things weird, it's because I literally just painted my nails, because I sat down to film this and was like, oh my gosh, my nails are all chipped and disgusting. So they're still like a little bit wet, but yeah, I'm gonna do my best to not look like I don't know how to hold things. All right, so of course, I'm gonna go ahead and start by rolling the color die. Green, so that is fantasy or magical realism. And we got a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A short book, so a book under 300 pages. I'm just going to put this over by the greenhouse so we know that it applies to that. All right, so roll number 1 was a green, so a fantasy or magical realism, and the prompt was a short book under 300 pages. For that book, I have selected Radiance from Grace Braven. This book is like 270 something, 287 with the epilogue. So it is under 300 pages. This was also on my what was it called, 5-star prediction videos, so I'm really glad that I was able to get one of those books on my TBR. This is a fantasy romance that gets a lot of love. It's about 2 people from 2 different species who are part of the royal line, but they're pretty far down the royal line, so that they're not, highly valued, but it's still, high enough where a political marriage is important. The 2 of them are not really fond of each other. They find each other very unattractive because they are from different species, but slowly they grow and become friends and eventually fall in love. I have to admit, I don't know if there's any sort of side plot to this. It is a relatively short book, and I have to admit, I'm not even sure if this is a standalone or in a series. I'm going in a little bit blind, mostly going in based off everyone's love for it. But I am really excited to be able to get a romance on here. I did read Rhapsodic and really enjoyed it this month. And so, you know, I'm excited to pick up some more fantasy romance. And with this one, I can do that. Alrighty, then let's go ahead and do rule number 2. Red romance. Woo! Three. A hyped book. All right, we landed on a romance, so hooray. And we got the prompt of a hyped book. So for this one, I have chosen The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armes. I've heard really great things about this book. It was definitely making the rounds. It's also got very summery, you know, vibes because it's going to take place at a wedding in Spain. So I'm super excited that I was able to get it onto this TBR. I was hoping to read it this summer. We are following our character Catalina, and she has been living in America and has a wedding of maybe like a family member occurring in Spain, and she's been telling them that she has this really great American boyfriend when that's not the case. So she has been kind of trying to find someone who will do like a kind of fake dating situation with her, and she's been having trouble. So her like nemesis, or you know, a guy she really doesn't like, volunteers, and they go to Spain together, and it is a fake dating enemies to lovers trope. So super hyped for this book, and hoping that it gives me the swoons as it seems to be with everyone else. All right, and then we'll go into rule number 3. Black. Horror, thriller, or mystery. All right. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Word association, so I'll have to pull up a random word and then find a book that I could use for that. So on the next roll, we got black, which is like a horror, mystery, thriller vibe, and I got word association. I did a random word generator and got the word resist or resistance, one of those words, which I think is pretty great considering the genre of books I selected. So for this one, oh, I didn't show the little card. Boop, there it is. I chose the book The Passengers, and I don't have the author in front of me, but you can see it on the book. This is a book that I heard about from, I think it was Riley Marie's channel. It is kind of like a thriller where people, their smart cars have like trapped them and are kind of like driving around, and there's a bunch of different people in the situation, and I believe another group is tasked by, I'm assuming it's a terrorist organization, to select which people live and die. So I figured with the word association of resistance, there's people who are resisting being kidnapped by their car, and the people that are being forced to select who lives or dies are probably pretty resistant to that idea as well. It sounds really thrilling. I'm gonna go ahead and grab it from my library. It says I'm next in line, so hopefully I will get that in my hands really soon. All right, second to last roll, roll number 4. Another romance. Lovely. 3. So usually I would pull another one from the house, but since he would kick his own person out, I'm gonna go ahead and move this guy. 1, 2, 3. An audiobook. All right, next we got really lucky and landed on romance, read again, and this time we got audiobook as our prompt. I decided to select the book 7 Days in June for this one. Don't have the author, again, underprepared. But this is a book that I've had on hold for at the library for a little while. It says I still have 6 weeks until it's my turn to get the audiobook. So we'll see. It's a little bit of a gamble because, of course, if I do not get to it because I don't receive the audiobook by the end of the month, I'll have to take a punishment. But this is a book that I've been wanting to read for a while. I've heard really great things about it. It seems to be like a contemporary, almost second chance romance where we follow 2 characters. I believe they're both authors who had 7 days a few years ago where they just, were in love or falling in love, just had, 7 special days together, and then went their separate ways, and then are reunited at a book conference. I don't even know. Anyway, it seems like no one knows that they were together, but I think this was a book kind of where like each of them was writing books kind of in a way to one another. Maybe not, maybe that's another book. Anyway, I've heard pretty much only good things about it, so I'm really excited to be getting to that book. All right, guys, and the final roll. Yellow, a contemporary or a literary fiction. Number 3. 1, 2, 3. See if I could pick this up without ruining my nails. Got it. Animal on the cover. All right, and for the last roll, we landed on yellow, which is a contemporary or a literary fiction, and we got Animal on the Cover. So I think I only had 1 book on my shelf that applied for that, but that's totally fine because that is The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. And this is another romance. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I was really hoping to get quite a few romances, especially summery ones like this on my TBR for the final month of summer. And here we have it. I believe this is an enemies to lovers as well. It's a contemporary romance, which is why I'm using it for this. And we have 2 characters who are best friends of a bride and groom, I believe, and everybody at the wedding gets food poisoning except these 2 people, a very realistic setup. And because of that, I'm assuming the honeymoon is like non-refundable, and so the couple goes ahead and sends these 2 on the honeymoon, and they start to develop feelings for each other. I've heard mixed things about this. So I have to admit, I'm not going in with like the highest expectations. I also heard that this might have like fade to black romance scenes, which is always kind of like a little bit of a bummer for me personally. But I'm hoping that it'll be kind of like a sweet time at least, and that it'll have kind of like a fun summery setting, and maybe some, fun banter. So we're also kind of matching, which is nice. All right, so other than the 5 books that I have selected for my TBR, or from my TBR game, I have 4 other books that I'm kind of hoping that I will get to this month. The first one is going to be a reread. I have selected 6 rereads that I wanted to do this year. I've already gotten through 3 of them, and I haven't read one for the July and August months because I'm trying to read one every other month, or every 2 months, I should say. So for this one, I have decided to go with my reread of Into This River I Drown by TJ Klune. This is actually the first book I ever read by him. I read it on a trip to New York. We were visiting family, and I was like, I'm just gonna be in my room reading this. Love you guys. But I had just like a really great time. I absolutely love TJ Klune's writing. I always love his exploration of grief, which he does in this book as well. We follow, I want to say, was his name Benji? Yeah, it is. We follow Benji, who maybe like a year or more ago lost his father to a tragic car accident, and is still dealing with the grief that came with that. One day he is going to the site of his father's death. His father, I think he drove off like a bridge and drowned in the river. Into this river I drowned. And something falls from the sky, and it ends up being his guardian angel. And this is a romance between the two of them. It's also a little bit of a mystery because it seems like his father's death may not have been as accidental as they initially thought. So I'm super excited to get to this one. If you're a fan of TJ Klune, you should definitely read this, because who doesn't love a guardian angel romance? Ooh, we're so excited. All right, yeah, so I'm definitely probably gonna try and get this as soon as possible. If I don't finish any of the books, or miss out on one of those that I got for my game, you can probably blame him. All right, the next 3 books that I'm hoping to get to are all continuations of a series. I'm kind of in the middle of a lot of series right now. Not like as much as like some other people are, but enough to be like stressing me out a little bit. So the first one that I'm hoping to get to, of course, is Blue Lily, Lily Blue, excuse me, by Maggie Stiefvater, which is the 3rd book in the Raven cycle. This follows 5 teenagers who are all in search of a dead Welsh king who is said to be buried somewhere in this town on one of the ley lines. It's kind of like a fantasy, magical realism situation. I'm really enjoying the story. I think it's very interesting, sometimes a little overly strange, but it definitely pulls you in and makes you want to keep reading to see, what weird thing is going to happen next. I also absolutely love Maggie Stiefvater's writing, and I really am enjoying seeing the relationships of the 5 characters really develop. And I also find that the side characters are actually really interesting as well, the ones that are coming and the ones that are going. So I think that the author's really good at developing characters, no matter what role they play. So looking forward to it. Next, we have book 2 and the last book of this duology. So it'll be nice to finish up this series. And that is called The Electric Air by Victoria Lee. This is book 2 to The Fever King, in which we followed a young boy whose name I'm forgetting right now. It was like Noam, I think was his name, who was the son of refugees who lived kind of like on the outskirts of this town because there is a magical plague going around, and people are very reluctant to assist refugees because they are worried that they are contaminated. And unfortunately his town becomes victim to an outbreak, and his father passes away, but he ends up surviving, which leaves him with these magical powers to be able to kind of reach into technology and understand it more, and pull things from it, things like that. So he decides to go ahead and join the academy where other young people are training to kind of like control their power so that they can work within the government, things like that, and to kind of try to take them down from the inside. There is a little bit of a male-male romance, which I'm hoping will continue in the 2nd book. I've heard that the 2nd book is pretty good, kind of wild. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And the last book that I'll be kind of prioritizing or trying to prioritize this month is A Strange Hymn by Laura Thalassis. This is the second book to Rhapsodic, which is part of the Bargainer series. It is a fantasy romance. I think there's 4 of them, or is there a trilogy and then there's a novella? I think it's a trilogy and there's a novella. And we're following Calypso, who is a siren who has made many, many deals with the Bargainer about 7 to 8 years ago, and then he disappeared for 7 years and has now returned for her help with a mystery that is occurring in the other world, which is where the Fae are residing. And so the second book will kind of build off of that. We got some answers in the first book, but there's still definitely more things for us to figure out. And I'm excited to see where the author takes it all. All right, guys, those are all the books that I'm hoping to read this month, considering I might be carrying some over from this month. I'm not going in like super optimistic, but I am hopeful that I at least get the ones for my TBR game done so that I don't have to take any punishments or anything like that. But this was a lot of fun. You know, I think I got a lot of great books on there. You know, got some books from my 2022 books that I want to my 22 books that I want to read in 2022 on there, as well as my reread and some continuations of series. Got some summer vibes going on, so I'm super happy with that. Yay. Now let me know down below what book you are most looking forward to reading this month. And of course, if you have any ideas for book prompts, I know I mentioned this in the instruction video, but like always, you can leave any prompt ideas down below and I will add them to my game. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and see you next time. Bye.